Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Marking Out with Amongst Friends. This is your boy Jay Rich. Accompanying me tonight, I have the two men that are responsible for getting us on the air. I got my boy, Mr. Doc Wednesday Night, and I got my other boy, the Professor John Gotti. And you guys are in for a treat tonight. We got predictions going on for the Elimination Chamber. We got a little recap from the shows this week, just in case you didn't watch. Not everybody watches. And we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about the Hall of Fame. So let's jump right into business, guys. How about that Raw? Has anybody read about Raw, watched Raw this week? Heard about the Gauntlet match. It's been the talk of WWE all week. Seth Rollins, what was it, 64 minutes straight?
65.
65 minutes straight. When's the last time you saw somebody wrestle for an hour straight in WWE?
I'm not sure. There's so many
Iron Man
part-timers.
match.
Yeah, I was about to say, so many part-timers these days. I don't know if anyone's wrestling more than 15 to 17 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
When's the last time we seen somebody wrestle an Iron Man match, period, much less go that long?
It's been a long time, actually. It's been a while. I'm not going to lie.
I think we do.
I mean, it's not no, top 5 dead or alive, but it's pretty close.
So
Oh.
you guys no fans of Iron Man matches, huh?
I mean, sometimes I feel like people should just duke it out.
Well, and that's what we're here to do. We're here to mark amongst friends.
We're definitely here to mark out amongst friends, and if it may lead to a little debate amongst friends, that's going to be all right as well.
There's nothing wrong with a little business among friends as well.
This is true. I mean, sometimes it's business, sometimes it's nothing more than to play the game. Okay,
right,
that's enough. That's enough
go
cross promotion. Let's actually talk about Raw.
Shameless plugs.
I definitely enjoyed. It was quite the breath of fresh air. This gauntlet match, and it's because we kept getting the same repetitive crap over and over and over, and the fact that they occupied 2 hours, they said 2 hours of a 3-hour show. Now it felt right to have a 3-hour show because they incorporated 2 of those hours to non-stop action. Shout out to TNA. But the fact that Seth Rollins showed a lot of the naysayers that he could definitely go, and we talked about this on the Game Runners group, about whether or not Seth Rollins is the new Iron Man of WWE, whether or not he's the linchpin as far as being one of the best workers out there. Like, for those of the uninitiated, they now know, but for those who knew, Seth Rollins, Tyler Black,
Seth freaking
Rollins, the Architect, whatever nicknames you want to give him. Whatever names you want to give him, but for those who knew what he could do before, it wasn't anything new. It just helped enhance their ideas of him, in my opinion.
Did Seth Rollins just become my favorite wrestler? I think was the question that I posed.
You did.
Well, I thought it was a great show of stamina. I think I mentioned also that taking a beating in wrestling is an art. I know that it's quote unquote fake and all this other stuff that people like to say, but I mean, yeah, it's hard. It's hard to get beat up. I'm sorry. I don't care what you say.
Ric Flair is the best wrestler in the history of the sport.
Because he got beat up. And he knew how to take it.
Exactly.
Yeah, he knew how to take the beating and make the other people look good. He took Elias to another level. He took Roman to another level in the short amount of time that they were in. He just made them. He basically put them over, and I thought it was a good match. I figured that Braun would not only win, but I figured he would destroy everybody. What he did was an underwhelming destruction of everybody. I thought he could have did a lot more damage.
I could agree with
But I
that.
don't think he wins. But we know he doesn't win, though. I mean, that's the most important thing. I mean, just looking at it, that's the one thing that we hate is that this build-up is practically for nothing.
I wouldn't say that. I'll be the first one to say I didn't watch the show originally at its scheduled time. But
Who does that?
when looking, huh?
Who does that?
Oh yeah, that's so yesterday. But I definitely from a perspective of just looking from a business standpoint, which I don't always like to be a fan who looks at things from a business standpoint. I think you get to see just as kind of like Gotti was hitting that you get a lot of people who get a lot of exposure, a lot of shine. A lot of people were made to look good in that match. Like I said, Elias has been red hot for a few months. Got a chance to see him and Seth go back and forth. Roman, you know how most people feel about Roman. I'm not really necessarily one of the guys who hates him as much as most people. But, I mean, Roman always proves in big matches that he can actually put on a pretty decent, not great, but a decent match with whomever he goes against. And pretty much every feud that he's been has elevated the other guy that he went in. Braun Strowman wasn't really over until the whole feud with Roman Reigns. So I mean, we gotta cut Roman a little bit of props, but it's not all about Roman. Once again, we get John Cena and Roman both getting put away early on in this match. You got Braun coming away with the win. Miz coming in there, getting the skull crashing finale in. I think it really showcased everybody's talents, but of course Seth Rollins was the clear winner in that match, even though he didn't win the match. I definitely would say he's Raw's AJ Styles right now.
How dare you say we cut Roman some slack? We're not cutting Roman any slack. I mean, I'm tired. Like, there's so many more superstars, athletes, whatever we want to call them these days. And it's like, to just go and say, hey, he's the guy, it's getting out of hand. I mean, hopefully it's a good match going into Elimination Chamber. I think if it was me and I was doing the booking, I probably would put it on the two people that you don't expect to win, and that would either be Elias or The Miz. Because it would be the most unexpected finish ever. Obviously, it could have been a situation where we could have waited, and finally, Baron Corbin could have cashed in on a night like this. But unfortunately, they wasted it away on doo-doo on a stick.
Ew.
Exactly.
I'm just appalled that somebody would trash Roman Reigns in an effort to push Baron Corbin. In this, and Baron Corbin does nothing better than Roman Reigns at all. But that's neither here nor
not even true. I mean, even
that's neither here nor there.
His walk to the ring is even better than Roman's. I mean, his move is better. He just looks more fluid in the ring than Roman. And mind you, they're both football players. Yep. I mean, they're no Gronk, but they're both football players. And they made their way to the squared circle. You have the end of days. You have the Superman punch. I mean, Superman punch. It's like, okay, sure, he hit him. Okay, I get it. But I mean, he's not good. I mean, he said, succotash. I mean, I don't get it.
Yeah. Like I said, it's neither here nor there. I mean, there's nothing we can really remember from Baron Corbin to compare to suffering succotash because he's so boring. But once again, I'm not going to spend too much time on Baron Corbin.
It's easy to say that when you're in Vince's front pocket.
And back and, kneeling.
Yes.
In certain prayer positions, but
that was my hand. Exactly.
Gross. But let's take a step back and yeah, that was really left field. In fact, I think Helen should come out of her office for that one, but she didn't come out of the office yet, so it's okay. But let's take a step back though, and it's funny that y'all mentioned Seth Rollins and the things that he's been accomplishing lately. I don't know if you had a chance to read one of the articles that I posted out in Game Runners, but they've been hinting, and Dave Meltzer also talked about it too this week, that the reason why Seth is getting so much spotlight now is after Mania, the first program that Roman Reigns is going to have is going to be against his Shield compatriot Seth Rollins. What are your thoughts on that?
So buy or sell on that feud. How do you feel like that program is going to go?
I mean, honestly, it's still going to be a pretty good program. I'm pretty sure they definitely would have some pretty good chemistry. I would, and of course, this is going to sound blasphemous, but I feel like that Seth and Roman having a feud won't have the same kind of impact as Seth and Dean. I just feel like that Seth and Dean bring out the best out of each other, and depending on how motivated Roman is, we may either just have a also ran or just a kind of feud there, but it's definitely to help establish Roman as the big dog. So whether, and it sounds like most likely they're probably gonna turn Seth heel, but I mean, yeah. So I'm a sell to answer your question.
I'm definitely buying in on the feud. I think that just from an emotional standpoint, I think the fans who have a rapport with the Shield always get excited when it's a Shield member versus Shield member match, no matter which one of the three it is. I'm not really the biggest Dean Ambrose supporter. I felt like a lot of his work is lazy, but you hit the nail on the head really more so when you talked about him and Seth Rollins' programs where they bring the best out of each other. I think those are some of the only matches that I've really been excited to see Dean in singles competition since being on the main roster. Of course, we all know what he's capable of on the mic. We know what he's capable of before he came to the main roster. But, he's really kind of been I want to say he's been kind of overrated since he got to the main roster. Keeping in mind that all three of the Shield members have pretty much gotten the same amount of title wins. They've pretty much gotten the same amount of spotlight. And it's really more so Dean who really hasn't really done much with his spotlight compared to the other two.
Well, it's also more because he's not being as featured as heavily either. So on one hand, yes, he's not necessarily stepping up to the plate, but at the same time, he's not necessarily given the room to, try to elevate himself to become that person. If you really think about it. I mean, between the three of them, I would probably say at one point in time, a few years ago, you could say Dean was probably the hardest worker because he constantly, worked the match every single night compared to the other two. Now
he's definitely
it's going to be
the guys.
Yeah. But now it's going to be Seth, but it's more of based off of default instead of just work ethics. Well, I mean, they both have great work ethics. Just based off of what they're able to do now.
Absolutely. I mean, I can give him his credit, definitely for the amount of matches that he works. I think he had the streak of most consecutive matches out of anybody on the roster for a long time. He's definitely got ability. I think that just with the spotlight, the little bit of times that he's had the spotlight, he hasn't really done much with it. I mean, he was the singles guy, somewhat kind of like the leader when the Shield was together. When he left the Shield, he's a Money in the Bank winner. He's world champion after that. He's the face on SmackDown when he's world champion, like the biggest face on SmackDown. And it was just every week was just, him not really doing much with it. And I think that we...
But is that based off of him, or is that based off of creative, though?
I think it's more so based off of him in this instance, because we know that with his character, the whole lunatic fringe is not really much different from the whole character before. We know it's not Jon Moxley at all. But at the same time, he's still playing to the whole crazy guy, loose cannon type gimmick. And he really didn't capitalize off of that. I mean, we saw it in the feud with Miz. Miz kind of ripped him up in promos saying that you're lazy and things like that. It almost was like more so of a shoot than anything else. But I just, he's been kind of overrated. I know what he can do, but it's just he really hasn't flourished in the ring or on the mic since coming to the main roster. That's just my honest opinion. But I don't want to get too off task tonight. Let's speak a little bit about some other things that occurred on Raw. We know that the Gauntlet match kind of overran everything else and was the highlight of the show. We'll spend a little more time about the Nia Jax versus Asuka feud this is going on, which is going to be leading into the pay-per-view. They got a match coming up this pay-per-view. If Asuka loses to Nia Jax in this one-on-one match, Nia Jax is automatically inserted into the women's match at WrestleMania. So Nia actually attacked Asuka this week on Raw, as she's done a few different times, and it's really kind of setting up for us to know that, there's no way possible that she's going to win this match. I mean, as much as I like Asuka, and I definitely think she's probably the best female pure wrestler that they have right now on the main roster, I think the streak has to go. I think it's just starting to be – it's going to end up being her ceiling if they don't let her in this streak soon. I wouldn't be mad at Nia Jax winning, but at some point I just want somebody to end it. How do you guys feel about her whole streak, and what are you guys predicting? Well, not predicting, but how do you feel about the whole Nia Jax versus Asuka feud?
Well, I think I think the fact that they added that stipulation, if Nia wins, she's in the women's title match for WrestleMania. They only did that to entice people to really, want to care about this match, because otherwise, as everyone likes to say, and Asuka likes to say it too, no one is ready for Asuka. And it doesn't really help with Nia's current record against Asuka. And if you really think about it, Nia also lost to Bayley, who, recently gave Asuka probably one of the hardest matches since she's been in the main roster. So, yeah. I mean,
we'll go back to the whole question that you asked me earlier. Is that more so on Bayley, or is that more so on them being given time to have a long match compared to other women's matches that Asuka's had that have virtually ended in squashes? Really, her matches against Sasha Banks and Bayley have really been the ones that weren't complete squashes. I mean, most of her record has been squashes that have been on the main roster.
I mean, we could say the same thing about like Goldberg during his streak, but
yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna play tit for tat, but I can understand where you're going with that. But at the same time, once you have a high-profile match, you should expect it to go, the distance. You should expect it to actually, be a really good match. That's gonna go, okay, Asuka is, all that she says to be, instead of her just coming into the ring, slapping people around, hitting them with her butt, then put them in the Asuka lock, tap, tap, tap. Okay, time to go, a la Brock Lesnar.
Absolutely, and that's exactly why I say the streak needs to be ended, because it's basically placing a large ceiling on Asuka. So I mean, I really don't. I'm all for anybody beating the streak. I wouldn't mind if Bayley, beat it. I wouldn't mind if Nia Jax won. I wouldn't mind if Sasha Banks ended the streak. I mean, all of them have victories over each other than Asuka. Nobody's beating Asuka, but Sasha Banks lost a pay-per-view match and a Raw match to Nia Jax before. That's another thing to consider.
Yeah, I mean, but see, it's weird because they do some really strange booking with Sasha, though. So I don't know if that's, admissible evidence in this case, in my opinion.
Yeah. And then, I mean, I don't see Nia Jax winning at this pay-per-view, though, just because, just from the history of WWE, you don't see anybody come from behind and make that many attacks over a course of a few weeks and then win the match at the pay-per-view. So I definitely see a loss coming. But being that, we'll get more into the pay-per-view when we do our predictions later on, but being that it's only a handful of matches, I don't see that that's going to end up being a squash. They might actually give that about 10 to 15 minutes in that match.
I can see that. It's definitely not going to be a 20-minute, instant classic because,
Oh, not at all.
as we know right now, there's only four, I believe, four confirmed matches for the Chamber pay-per-view altogether. So, I mean,
Uh,
but there was a fifth one.
that is. Well, we'll get to that within this next topic. I know one of the other matches that we have that happened on Raw. Titus Worldwide been on a winning streak against the Bar, and actually won this week on Raw.
Yeah, I know Doc had a lot to say about that one.
Oh man, I'm just surprised that Apollo Crews has been getting a lot of shine, and it's not necessarily within the win category, but a lot of the matches they've had Apollo Crews in over the last couple of weeks that I have tuned in, they're really letting him shine now instead of the usual like jobber role that they had him playing on SmackDown in the majority of his run that was on Raw. I saw a match where they let him go back and forth with The Miz. I watched the mixed tag championship match, well not championship, mixed tag challenge match that he had with Nia Jax against the Robe Warriors with Charlotte and Bobby Roode, and he and Bobby Roode had a nice little exchange, a little back and forth in that match as well. And not to mention, this week marked victory number 3 against the Bar. So they've beaten the Bar 3 times leading up to this pay-per-view this week. What do you think, or how do you think the direction of Titus Worldwide is going to go with this momentum so far?
I've been thinking that they'll probably add someone from NXT. It could be anyone, of course, but I feel like, well, I told John Gotti. Let me tell you what I told John Gotti. I felt like the only reason they won is because of the Black Panther. Now I know it sounds ridiculous, but when you look at M'Baku and his bark and whatever else that they were doing, and then you look at Titus O'Neil and the Omega, I think that's Omega bark. I mean, it's kind of similar. It's really close. So, I mean, they were really kind of pushing it on Monday right before the match. I mean, I could be wrong, but then, of course, the whole dropping of the Cruise thing, which we found out was nothing more than Vince not trying to associate with, I believe, a killer or something.
The shooting out in Florida.
Shooting, yeah. So, I mean, it could be that, but I mean, as we've seen the last time they dropped a name, those people do somewhat get pushes, which is cool. I think Apollo Crews is a great athlete, somebody who's showing improvement. I think the only thing that's going to get him over is to be a heel. And he's going to have to turn on Titus. That's the only way. Clearly, it didn't work for Darren Young, which, as you can clearly see, Darren Young is nowhere to be found. So clearly, for this to work, they're going to have to use his ability, and they need him to go heel in order for him to get a push. That's the only way. But a lot of these guys deserve to be champions, though. That's the one thing about it. A lot of them deserve to be champions. And that's the only reason you give the Brock Lesnar's, the Romans, those guys so much flack. Because eventually you're not going to be able to push the smaller guy unless you go with a, Lord rest his soul, Eddie Guerrero type story, where he, conquers the beast. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't happen every day. And they're not writing those stories. So when those big guys start to fall off, I think wrestling will get a lot better. But with the direction and the irony that Vince loves big sweaty men, but he doesn't love big women. And obviously Nia Jax can't get a push, if we clearly can see that. And it's kind of ridiculous that she's not beating everybody up. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I can agree with a lot of that. I don't know. I definitely say I'm a big power wrestling, you know,
Sure. Because of the time frame
fan.
that we
I've
grew up
always,
in.
yeah, I mean, you know, it's in American wrestling, you saw it a lot in WCW and in WWF. Or WWE growing up, sorry. But I mean, it's just one of those things, and I think that the big wrestler has evolved a lot over the years to where, you know, you're not expected to come in and be a Kevin Nash who moves, you know, at .126 miles an hour and does the same generic elbow and, you know, sidewalk slam that every other big man does. You know, you got guys like, you know, Braun, who's bringing back an old school power slam, but is doing a lot of destruction. You got guys like, you know, Samoa Joe. He's not really a big guy, so to speak. I mean, he's a big guy, but not a big guy. But, you know, you get guys like him that's more so of the technician.
Trash.
Not a big fan of, you know, Baron Corbin, but you got Baron Corbin who's more of the striker.
Okay.
You know, it's I mean, it's definitely a different game for the big guy now than it is years ago, and I don't really want to see that kind of go away.
But we're not talking about the guys, though. I mean, we're talking about Nia Jax now. I mean, all the other women are like, what, $120, $130, you know, and I know she could kill these girls. You know what I mean? Like, literally.
Yeah. I mean, if anybody agrees with you, I do.
But they make her seem so weak, like she's like a featherweight out there.
I mean, you know, she's been on a little destruction, but I can definitely agree with that sentiment, though.
And I would go on a step further and be even more controversial, as to say that the way they're booking Asuka, she's becoming overrated.
Ooh, that one's not going to go well with the IWC there.
Hey,
Ugh.
they're booking her. She's becoming overrated to build her up just so that she can lose to a Ronda Rousey, or to build her up so she can drop a loss to, you know, some pointless match that, you know, down the line. It's not going to make any sense. And you know it is. It's not. She'll probably lose in a triple threat or something where she doesn't get pinned. You know what I mean? I mean, that ends her streak technically because she loses. Or she'll, you know, I know we mentioned in the Game Runner group her losing to Miss Money in the Bank, you know, after beating someone. And she, you know, like, let's just say Nia Jax just destroys her after the match. And then here comes Carmella down to just cash in. You know, and it's just... They're just building her up to make it. She's building up for somebody big. I'm actually looking forward to this DeVille girl. I think she's gonna be really good.
Sonya Deville,
she's gonna be good.
She's all right. I'm more so into Ruby Riott, but I think that both of them will really be good. It's way more talent in the women's division now that I've seen in my entire life within WWE, WWF. There's never been so much focus on, you know, variety, so much focus on a lot of the moves. I mean, we get more excited now to see some of the women finishers now than we do a lot of the men finishers. I mean, you know, I still love the bank statement. I'm not really a huge fan of the belly to belly, but I guess it's depending on the words. It works for her. That, I mean, it plays to the whole hugging gimmick. It works.
I'm just happy that they got rid of Divas. I mean, honestly, that's really it. They tried to get rid of Divas. People weren't really. I mean, I'm sure there are still some who were there who were just, you know, former models and all other stuff, but they're starting to get athletes who can actually strike, who can actually wrestle. So of course, it's getting better. But that part doesn't carry over to the men's side, you know, because now on the men's side, they're like, hey, let's just get a bunch of guys who wrestled in other programs who we know have athletic ability, you know, they have strength, but then they're writing them into these storylines that, you know, kind of don't make any sense. And now you have all this talent and nowhere to go with them. So it's like, you need more belts almost. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, you might as well send more people to 205 or to the UK or wherever. Like, it's just too many people.
But it's not enough time in the week to watch all that wrestling. And I love wrestling, but man, I can't SmackDown Monday, I mean, SmackDown Tuesday as well as 205 Tuesday, and then Raw on Mondays, and then NXT comes in on
Well, see,
Wednesday, and
that's their fault, though. I mean, think about it. Nitro used to have all that in one show.
yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why Nitro was. I mean, that's why I turn to Nitro sometimes because they had all of that in one show. You know, it made sense. You know, you can watch Rey Mysterio versus Psychosis, and you can watch Dean Malenko, versus Alex Wright, the Dancing Man, and Ernest the Cat Miller, and all
Hoodie
those guys.
Juice. You gotta throw a shot to Hoodie Juice. One of my favorite.
Exactly. To John Gotti. But yeah, I think that it's just one of those situations where they were able to integrate it all into one show, where WWE is trying to capitalize on the vast amount of people that they have signed to contracts, and capitalize on the marketing and the advertising money to have three different shows. But when you think about it realistically, they could squeeze all that into one show, or do two shows and that just be it. Skip this brand split crap because it doesn't really work. Red and blue brand, which is basically Democrats and Republicans. We get it. We know it's Republican and Democrat. And you know what Vince is highly in favor of. He likes the Republicans. That's why red is always going to be better than blue. I want you to remember that I said that. Which is why Roman will probably never go to SmackDown. Just remember that the doc said it first. But my thing is, and I'm going to give you the show back. It's just the storytelling that's happening is just not where it needs to be. They have all these talented wrestlers, and they're just not putting them in a place to succeed. You have the belt on Brock Lesnar, who we said he's only wrestled, 60, 50 something hours. Seth Rollins just did that in one day. You're probably going to bring The Undertaker back for a match for some stupid reason. You're probably going to bring all these people back for a wrestling match for some reason. But you have all these powerful superstars outside of Roman and John Cena that you can put in there and make a great pay-per-view out of, but they won't do it. Vince will always go back to his bread and butter, straight from baby bull.
Well, it's definitely interesting. It's interesting that you talked about that because I kind of wanted to spend some time on that with SmackDown. I don't know if you guys read the article. It's like SmackDown's ratings have been dropping every single week since the start of 2018. And despite everybody being in tune and liking the roster, the general consensus is that they don't really know what to do with the people that they have on SmackDown right now. And it's become stale because they're using, even though a lot of them are fan favorites, they're using the same guys over and over again. You're seeing a lot of Kevin Owens, a lot of Sami Zayn, AJ Styles with the title.
Ruined them.
AJ Styles is pretty much, the guy who's going to hold the title until they figure out what they want to do with it. Bobby Roode is now the U.S. champion, which, that's fresh, but, it's what are you going to do with that? This is the mid-card title is supposed to be elevated. I mean, they haven't been really doing much with it. He's now in a feud with Jinder Mahal and Randy Orton. As much of a Mahal fan I became, it's not really going to be much of an interesting match with Jinder Mahal, Randy Orton, and Bobby Roode within a feud. What is your take on SmackDown? I didn't really watch it this week. I looked over the preview of the matches or the recap of the matches. Nothing really noteworthy of talking about other than we're going to get the New Day versus the Usos for like the 25th time at the next pay-per-view. I like both teams. They put on great matches, but I mean, you can't live off of this match. You got to be able to branch both of those teams out into something else. What are you guys' thoughts on the current state of SmackDown right now?
Currently, SmackDown needs something, and you mentioned it before. They need some kind of overhaul to their brand because I think for like the past month it's just been so stale. It slowly became what Raw was. What hurt Raw so much was the fact they kept doing the same things every single week, not really caring about any kind of development. Um, I think that's the first thing they really need to fix. And a lot of people talk about like Road Dogg because he's one of the people in creative for SmackDown. Um, a lot of the decisions that they're making is, the same type of habits that hurt WWE in the past, recently in the past, with their flagship show. And talking about just the New Day, it's funny that you mentioned it's like the 25th time, but at the same time, their tag team division, if you really think about it, like when they really decide to let them go and wrestle, or I guess you could say entertain because they're not wrestlers apparently. Um,
Mhm.
the SmackDown tag division's been the best division between the two.
Mhm.
If you really think about it, and the fact that they're going back into the well to have another go with the New Day, I think that just helps to get whoever wins that one, which I think is probably gonna end up just still being the Usos, um, to get them ready for the Bludgeon Brothers. Um, which is
Do we-
amazing. Because for me being a big fan of Luke Harper for a long time, for me it's about time they're really starting to let him shine a little bit further. Unfortunately, he is still in the tag team, and I think he could do really well, especially in the U.S. title division. But now that he's finally getting himself back into the title hunt, I just can't wait to see what kind of program they can definitely do within there. The World Championship scenario, that's a little bit different. Um, I think once they get away from the whole authority storyline within there, and this is what I mentioned about what hurt Raw for such a long time. Once they get away from that, they can really shine because they definitely have, some, if not the best workers in WWE, on the main roster in that division right now. So I think once they, finally settle this whole Shane and Daniel Bryan and, Sammy, whatever you want to call him, love triangle that they're having, they can really start to flourish a little bit further. The women's division, honestly, it's kind of just there. I definitely would agree. I definitely am starting to enjoy the Raw division a slight bit more, but I mean, I've always loved watching Charlotte go. She's only gotten better, which each week is going along. Of course, Natalya is still kind of out there. Um, Becky Lynch, I don't know what they did with her, but I feel like they just dropped the ball with her, and she's just there as the gullible friend. Um, to be honest, I kind of got finished with Naomi once she won the title. I was just ready for her to just lose it immediately afterwards. Luckily, I got my wish. Um,
Ouch.
and as far as like Absolution, I mean, I like Ruby Riot. I enjoyed what she did when she was in the Indies, and like give them all some more time to shine, and it's gonna be awesome. Liv Morgan, Jersey own. So I mean, of course, I'm gonna have her back.
I think that I agree with both of you guys. As far as the product becoming stale. I mean, every fan who watches the WWE definitely knows it's a lot more stale time than it is interesting time um, amongst all of the shows besides NXT. Um, but I think that what SmackDown definitely needs, like you said, is they need to lose the whole authority storylines. I think that Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon are on TV way too much. Not to hate on either one of them, but I mean, these guys are in the biggest storyline on the pay-per-view every week. I think last year Shane McMahon main evented like 2 or 3 pay-per-views after he came back as the general manager of SmackDown. And I think that really kind of handicaps everything else. And it's crazy that it's really more so handicapping everything more that you have a champion on there every week and is putting him through these weak storylines compared to Brock is not even on Raw. Yet, the Raw, heavyweight title, the Universal title is still way more talked about than the title that's on the show every week. It's just SmackDown has just become really boring. And when the show gets stale, it makes you start not liking the people that you really liked before. Like you said, Naomi has fallen off a lot. Becky Lynch fell off a lot. I thought that the New Day fell off a lot when it came to in-ring competition until they got back into the tag team title picture this week. But, I mean, they really haven't been doing much with the New Day other than, doing segments with them, which their segments are funny. But it's just like, you're living – SmackDown has pretty much been living off of the Usos, the New Day, and AJ Styles for a few months now. And that's one of the major pictures why I was really big on Jinder Mahal, because it was different. You got something different that you don't see, and yet you had a lot of opportunity with that to really bring him in as the top heel on the show, and you wasted 6 months worth of push, within a month after he dropped the title. He's been taking loss after loss. I mean, pretty soon he's going to be a jobber again. This was just your world champion a few months ago.
So my main issue is that the mid card is so deep. There's so much talent in the middle, and they haven't really. There's nowhere for those guys to go. There's nowhere for Mahal to go now. He already went to the top. I mean, I thought he was getting better and better. I thought once they dropped him down because of, at Brock's request, at that moment, kind of almost ruined his career. I mean, that was it. I mean, Brock said, hey, he's not going to make it to the morning. And granted, I'll give AJ Styles a lot of credit. He made that match so much better than what I anticipated it to be. But concern is that there's so many people that they don't know what to do with them. And I think that's the product of grabbing all those people from the indies, is that they just brought too many people in. So I'm looking forward to Triple H taking over, because I imagine that he's probably going to get rid of a lot of people. And that's what just needs to happen. He won't rely on the old faithful as much as Vince McMahon does. Vince McMahon, as you clearly see, will dig up Kane from, the abyss and put him in a main event. Kane shouldn't have been that main event. You know what? I know it. The whole wrestling fandom knew it. For him to just be in there to take a loss it's disrespectful, I mean, I'm sure he didn't see it that way, but for him to just be in there just to take the fall it was just pointless to me. But I get it. It's to protect Brock and to protect Braun, to make sure that neither one of them pin each other, even though Brock pinned Braun on one F5 before. But that's neither here nor there. But it's just too many people in the middle. And eventually, if the women's division continues, it'll be the same way, because it'll be Asuka, it'll be Charlotte, or it'll be, Little Miss Princess over there. And it'll just be top heavy. They're not going to switch the belt very often. But once Brock is gone, we'll see what happens. I just don't see them following the old strategy of having a champ that's going to carry the business. AJ Styles might do that, but we can't say that Brock does that.
Yeah, I can definitely agree 100% on that front. I think with you can almost see it when Brock leaves, it's really going to open up the heavyweight division or the Universal Championship division a lot. I think you'll see a lot more Seth Rollins. I think you'll see a lot more Finn Balor. All the guys that are involved in the match coming up Sunday are going to get a much bigger role. And Raw is actually starting to really develop out now, and it's really starting to look promising over the next couple of months. SmackDown is one of those things where it's like they're just kind of here until WrestleMania, and then once the AJ Styles Shinsuke fantasy match is over, then what? I think there needs to be a little bit of breakup. I know how great the tag team division is, but I mean you got to break up Shelton Benjamin and what's my other guy's name?
Chad Gable.
You got to break those guys up. Preferably, I would love to see a Chad Gable turn heel. But
why that breakup though? I'm confused by that.
Because Chad Gable is just being put in. I mean, this is his second tag team, and it's really I think that he has enough talent to shine on his own. Also, I didn't want to see Shelton Benjamin come back to be relegated to the tag team division either.
Where's he gonna go though? I mean, what belt do you see him going for?
He could be Dolph Ziggler right now, and Dolph Ziggler could be something else.
Are you kidding me right now?
He could be the guy that's taking losses but putting other guys over.
That's what
he's 40. He's not going to be a world champion at 40. He's not Batista. He's not Evolution. He's not in Vince's back pocket. That's not going to happen.
What do you do with Gable then?
Mid card. The thing about it is, but it's back to what I was saying before. Who is Bobby Roode feuding with now? Two people that nobody really wants him to feud with. Chad Gable goes heel. He's a singles wrestler. You got.
I don't even know who's he feuding with.
Jinder Mahal and Randy Orton.
Randy's growing his hair back. I mean, come on, you got to give him credit.
I mean, he can cut it for all I care. He does look a lot younger with the hair, though. I'll definitely give him his credit on that.
I mean, that's pretty much it. He's growing his hair back. He's found the fountain of youth. They want to run it. I mean, come on.
But this is the land of opportunity. The two guys that Bobby Roode is feuding with right now, they've had their opportunity. Not to say I don't want to see Jinder Mahal get back into the spotlight, but I mean, think about the level of matches that we can have if Chad Gable is a singles wrestler and we get Chad Gable versus Bobby Roode for the U.S. title. Think of how much that's going to elevate that title and make it look that much more appealing. Especially if we can get a feud out of it and they exchange the title better. Sometimes.
I give you one better. Chad Gable versus the Bruiserweight.
I mean, if they're wanting to bring him to the main roster, I'm all for it. Sign me up.
That would be better than because I just don't think. I mean, Gable's good. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, him versus Bobby Roode. I don't know if that's gonna be good or not. I just don't know. I can't see it.
Historically, though, you've always got to have your best talent in the mid-card division, and you got to put on because these are the ones. I mean, we talked about it last week in the Game Runners when we talked about Mr. Perfect on the anniversary of his death. Rest in peace. We did more so. Mr. Perfect never was a world champion, but when he held the title, when he held the Intercontinental title, it meant something. Before Macho Man became a world champion, when he held the Intercontinental title, it meant something. You cared about it being on television. When Shawn Michaels was the Intercontinental champion and he walked around, with the white/gold belt, it meant something. You wanted to see the Intercontinental title, being defended every week.
But these aren't those belts, though. That's the thing. This belt now is just like it's a mockery compared to those belts. I mean, those belts were the real deal. Like the U.S. title in WCW was a real deal. Like the TV title. Like if they would bring the TV title back, that'd be perfect for that every week guy who's going to definitely be there. The Seth Rollins, the Dean Ambrose, somebody like that. Even if you want to throw Chad Gable in there, give us another belt because there's so many people. All right, I'll give you an example. You remember we used to play, the Here Comes the Pain or any of those wrestling games that we used to play.
Mm-hmm.
When you did your career mode, you had to go through a ranking system.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like some people were specifically in the world or heavyweight title picture. Some people were in Intercontinental, some people were European, so on and so forth. I don't feel like, and I wish the people could see my arms moving, but I feel like everybody's kind of all over the place. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yes.
all over the place. Like, hey, one day you're in the heavyweight title. Next, you're a hardcore legend. Next, you're wrestling D'Lo Brown 20 years ago. Next, you're going to put you in a street fight with, Mae Young over here. Next, we're going to put you in a storyline over here where all you do is talk about Michael Cole. And it's like, they're not getting anywhere. So that's where I kind of feel like the mid-card, although it's great, there are so many people now who probably, the WWE has changed now. You don't even have to, you're probably not even signed a contract anymore now that's going to put you on the road 300 and some odd days a year. You know what I mean? Look at Dolph Ziggler. He's going to get $1 million per pay-per-view. Like, these contracts are ridiculous now. And they can afford it because they have so many people. And they got so many people in NXT who are just waiting to come up. The only resolution is to get rid of some of the guys at the top. I mean, that's it. You got to cut the top and almost do a rebranding. Get this PC era out of here. Maybe it's time to go back to another, I don't know, an attitude era. We need something else. We need something new.
Yeah, the only problem with combining the shows back is that it's just going to take a lot of the guys who are already getting little to no shine that deserve shine on their respective shows. They're really going to be off of TV now.
Not if they get rid of the top people.
But my thing is, the foundation of the roster is always going to be the lower to mid-card divisions. I mean, you see NXT has been pumping out greatness for the better part of 2 to 3 years now, probably even more than that.
False.
That's your.
That is false.
What you mean?
The indies have been pumping out talent for the last 2 to 4 years.
But I mean,
NXT is just grabbing these people, putting them in the ring. If you want to
say the indies, though, you can't count Ring of Honor because it's main television now. You can't count TNA.
My God.
You can't count New Japan because that's not indie either. These are all major shows. They're not indies. They are.
If you're not WWE, you might as well have the F on the end of your name, and we're always taught to get the F out.
That's false. Just because you're
false.
not WWE does not mean you're not a major player.
WWE
New Japan probably brings in just as much money in Japan as WWE brings in here. We still on, guys?
I have no comment on this one. I was just enjoying.
I don't either. I can't even believe you just said that. I can't even believe you just said that. You think that New Japan brings in more money than Vince McMahon by himself?
I didn't say more. I said they probably make just as much money in Japan as WWE makes here.
I think they have the potential to make more.
Potential, yes.
But they don't necessarily have all the resources to be able to overtake because WWE
Think
is
about
still
it like
a
this.
conglomerate. But I definitely agree with you. You can't necessarily call New Japan and Ring of Honor indies. However, the fact remains is that's how they're being treated by pure WWE elitist fans. They treat those other promotions
the way it is. I mean, that's just the way things work. I mean, hey, you're not WWE. Think about it. The main three: WWE, ECW, WCW. Those other two were never called indies. They were just called competition. Now all of a sudden, you have all these other guys who might have started similar to how ECW started or WCW started, but now they're indies because they don't have that financial backing of a major network.
So I mean, I would agree with that.
If Ring of Honor was on TNT or TBS, the indie statement is out of the window. But the fact that they come on whatever channel that is, I don't even know what channel that is. Are you telling me what channel that is? Can somebody please tell me what channel that is?
I don't watch Impact.
Exactly, Indies, the
I don't
Indie
watch
channel.
Impact.
They're on the
Indie
Indie channel.
Wow.
And
Wait,
that's
you
all I
talk
got to say about that.
New Japan
I can-
or
Ring of Honor. I don't know what channel Ring of Honor comes on.
I know New Japan is on the Access AXS channel.
They're on Access, and they have. I want to say they have a streaming service, not as vast as WWE, but I think they have a streaming service that you could purchase to watch a lot of their events as well.
I think you're just making them sound like indies.
Wow.
Access
Well-
channel. The bleep is that?
I'm telling you exactly what I saw. I mean, that's
mean,
what it
just
showed.
What is that?
You know, I mean,
That doesn't sound indie-ish to you?
USA is not that really big of a channel. What does
Oh,
USA
my
do
God,
outside
no.
of WWE?
Oh
you
my
did not need to say
Stop.
that because
Stop.
he-
What
he's
what is
definitely
US
on you right now.
what is
Oh,
USA
my
good
God.
for outside of WWE?
Just stop. USA? Are you kidding me?
What are they good for outside of WWE?
Oh, what else do we got? What else do we have to talk about?
That's a serious question. They got rid of Psyched. If you're not watching WWE, you're gonna watch reruns of Chrisley Knows Best. It's terrible. That network is horrible.
You talk about right now. USA has been. Let's just go to the next topic. Oh my God! He's talking about USA's history, and he brings up Chrisley knows best. Are you kidding me? Oh, let's just go to the. My God!
I believe now Ring of Honor is starting to. I believe they're streaming live on Twitch. Either it's Twitch or Facebook now.
I'm going on mute.
Doc, yeah. John Gotti, you're not helping my argument, right?
I'm not here to help with people's arguments. I'm here to just give people facts. I'm sorry. That's all I do here.
This is an opinion-based podcast.
Moving right along. Moving right along, mentioning NXT and the Indies. Let's do a quick recap of NXT. Not really to recap the whole show, just really the major story that happened last night. We got to see another classic from Johnny Gargano and Andrea Cien Almas. Career versus title match ends in Johnny Gargano losing due to interference from Tommaso Ciampa, and it spawned the question that I've been wanting to ask pretty much the whole show. What is the new direction for Johnny Gargano? Is it 205 Live? Is he going to lower mid card on Raw or SmackDown? Do we see a debut of Gargano before WrestleMania?
He will debut after WrestleMania. But he will be going to 205 Live. And here's why. 205 Live is starting to get a lot more traction within the past couple of weeks. I guess you could say after Rockstar Spud or Drake Maverick joined as the new GM there. And of course, Triple H is not taking over for it. But I think now they're really going to try to make that a more marquee show. So it'll be the fourth show that has better traction now, instead of just the three that we currently know, which is NXT, Raw, and SmackDown. Gargano will be awesome in the 205 division. Absolutely awesome. He can help elevate them in a way that Neville did.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly
Absolutely. I definitely agree with that.
So, yes, he is, and they did the whole thing of him signing the departure contract, whatever, stupid thing.
Who signed the departure contract? That's the first time I've ever seen that.
Well, they had to show finality for that feud, and while the concept of it was stupid, like Kofi Kingston forgetting a spot with Randy Orton,
stupid.
The fact that they showed finality of Cien Almas and Johnny Gargano is perfect, because now Andrea Cien Almas can now go to his next feud heading into the WrestleMania season, which should be Aleister Black.
Man, it's so much that it could be. It could be Aleister Black. It should be Aleister Black. That's definitely my number one pick. I mean, it could go to Adam Cole, baby. It could even lead to a lot of you guys' personal favorite, the Velveteen Dream, in the feud as well. So it's a lot of different directions. That this
I
could
can
go
see
into.
Velveteen finally getting into the title hunt around SummerSlam.
I could definitely see that happening as well. Whether it happens before that or not, I'd be happy just to see him in the title picture. And when he debuted that gimmick, I never thought that I would ever say that phrase. But I really can't wait to see what they're going to do next with the Velveteen Dream. I really had an idea the other night, just sitting thinking about wrestling. I would love to see the Velveteen come to the main roster and lead a stable. Of who would be in it, I don't know. It's got to be some people that would fit that whole persona, but I would love to see him as like a stable leader on the main roster.
That'd be a great question to ask people in your group, sir.
Absolutely. But with Gargano, I think that I think he's just like you said. I think that he's going to go to 205 Live. I mean, they've been stacking the roster quietly for quite some time now. They already had a lot of great guys on the roster that, may not have the charisma, but a lot of great in-ring talent. You add Tyler Bate to that. If you add Gargano to that, you added Roderick Strong to that as well. I mean, they've been silently building up that roster to be something that people are going to look forward to every week.
But you want to know what stable I don't want to see?
One that Roman Reigns leads?
No. I could see, because of the way the WWE is, I could see Velveteen Dream coming up and then putting him right with the Fashion Police.
Yeah. That's
what I don't want. That's what I don't want.
Please, God, no. Oh, my goodness, no.
He's 20 years too late for Goldust.
Yep.
Stardust is gone. Doing great things. But, I mean, there's no one else for him really to be with but the Fashion Police.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, I mean, unless he joins Titus Worldwide.
That would definitely, he could be like The Rock, what The Rock did to the nation with Titus Worldwide. He just taken it into a whole different direction if he was to join, but it wouldn't make sense to you at first, just like The Rock and the Nation didn't really make sense to me at first, but it's definitely got potential, I guess.
Maybe he can join the New Day.
But who would be the guy that he ends up turning on, so to speak? Would it be are you going to see Titus versus the Dream?
Yes, that's exactly what it would be. And that's where what's the name can go heel.
I like that. I can definitely like that. I just don't see. I just can't see him as a heel, man. I just can't see. I keep wanting to call him Uhaa Nation. I can't see Apollo as a heel. He doesn't strike me as a tough guy. He's too nice. He's so smiling. It's like I don't see Sami Zayn as a heel. As much as they've been pushing him as a heel, he's too nice. He comes out doing the Carlton to his theme music.
Sammy's a bum.
He can't be. You were just pissing off the IWC right now.
He is. I mean,
you call Asuka overrated. You said that Sami Zayn is a bum.
I did call Sammy a bum. I said they're booking Asuka and setting her up to be a bum. Or no, she's not a bum. She's overrated.
Based off
setting
booking
her up. Right, her booking is making her overrated.
Then you won't get chased out of town. Then it's fine.
I mean, overrated is overrated. I mean,
you might get a little hate mail. You're not going to get chased out of town just yet, but you're pushing it.
I mean,
yes, that's the doctor Twitter handle at TL Double.
Oh.
Oh, if I really told him what he said about Shawn Michaels, he'd been trying to replace Shawn Michaels in history. It'll really run you.
I mean, I like Shawn Michaels, and I think that was ridiculous. I like Shawn, but I mean, AJ is just a phenomenal athlete.
So you said, but you also said that they should have pushed Mr. Perfect in place of Shawn Michaels.
They should have.
I agree with that, actually.
Yeah, like
Oh,
come on.
Goodness, you got it. So you would give up potentially the greatest performer of all time.
Absolutely. I'd trade in that WrestleMania, skyline thing any day for a gum in the crowd.
Man, Mr. Perfect was my favorite, and I love him to death. But man,
I'd rather have
Shawn Michaels legacy,
Mr. Perfect
Shawn Michaels
or Owen
legacy.
Hart in place for Shawn Michaels, to be honest.
So what would Mr.
I
Perfect?
didn't want that. At the time, I would have hated it. But now, looking back on it, it would have made wrestling a little better. The clique doesn't get as big, or maybe there's some different people in it. Maybe it's a little later. Maybe, we don't get an NWO if Shawn's never pushed, because maybe Razor and Diesel never really get their pushes, because you think about it, Razor and Shawn don't have that ladder match. We don't know if Razor gets, to be as big as he got. You know what I mean? Like, he was a good wrestler, but I don't know. I think Mr. Perfect versus Bret Hart would have been a much better Iron Man match, honestly.
And
Yeah, it
they
would've been a
had some
lot more
incredible
technical.
matches, too.
It'd be a lot more technical. I don't know if it would be better because we saw Brett and Mr. Perfect before.
Iron Man
We
match.
saw
though.
Brett and Shawn Michaels before the Iron Man match.
Yeah, we did.
But but without Shawn's legacy, you don't get the hawk loogie in Shawn's face of a frustrated Brett. You don't get the Montreal screw job. You don't get the whole DX and
Honestly,
you don't get degenerate.
honestly,
you want a lot of history.
honestly, and
We've
this is
changed
definitely
it
going to
up.
trigger some people, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I agree.
Just so that the listeners out there know, this is not my opinion. This is these guys, right?
Hey, this
Yes,
is a
yes.
scripted
Professor
show.
John
This is a
Gotti,
scripted
Twitter
show.
handle at Ken86. Get at me, bro.
What does get at me mean, Dad? No, but I agree, though. I mean, come on, like, just thinking about it.
Like, once
We
again,
replaced-
and this is us not looking at it as a business perspective. This is us looking at it as wrestling fans.
Yeah, like, right now, and I posted on the Game Runners group, if they don't push Elias the right way and it's too late, it's over. Bray Wyatt, too late. The Bludgeon Brothers, 3 years probably too late. I thought the Wyatt family should have had all the belts at the same time.
I agree
The
with
Wyatt
that.
family definitely should have been way bigger than what they were.
They should have had all the titles at the same time. Like,
I think
tag team, intercontinental, world, like, they should have had them all stacked up, just sitting there on their mantle in their rocking chair. Like, it should have all been there.
Nope.
They
It was
blew
the
it.
strange
Them
hard-on
breaking
that
them up.
Vince had for Roman that
Yeah.
derailed them, because I mentioned this to the doc when he started to get back into wrestling again, that had they waited on bringing the Wyatts to the main roster, they would have been far more successful.
Yeah.
But the fact that they kept clumping them together with the Shield and, will they, won't they fight each other? Then when they fought each other, it was great matches, but they only had, 2 matches against each other?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
And Bray basically got buried by Roman.
exactly. And then Bray got buried by pretty much everyone else. He became the eater of
Everyone else.
pins.
Until he met JoJo that one Sunday afternoon.
Which is funny, and that's actually probably going to be a final thought, but there was something that was said just now about that whole scenario that's going to make everyone
But I'm
laugh.
saying, though, I mean, it's terrible. But to get to the point, though, I mean, the fact that you have those guys, then you have the Authors of Pain who are going to come up.
They're going to
Then
come
you got
up.
Sandy who are going to, these guys are going to come up. But it's like, all these guys are coming up, but who's going out? Nobody's going
No one's
out.
going out.
So, again,
has the Office of Pain debuted yet?
They will
No.
debut after WrestleMania.
WrestleMania.
That's been confirmed.
think about it like
They're
this.
keeping them off TV till then.
Think about it like this. I'm still holding on to the fact that Ty Dillinger should have answered the open challenge at Royal Rumble. I'm never gonna let that down. And they should have had Mojo Rawley getting beat up out there with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. I just felt like it was just a better move. I just want to see Ty Dillinger do the perfect 10 thing. And it just would have made more sense. He's bigger. He's more accepted. Get him out there. They could have had a great match. The kickoff would have made sense. You know what I mean? But you throw Mojo out there, who cares?
Which is funny because Solomonster, shout out to Solomonster as well too. Be sure you follow him.
Ooh,
I'm over here plugging for Jay Ritty. But he mentioned that it should have been Ty Dillinger to answer that open challenge, and what they would have done, which would have been perfect, and it makes perfect sense as a booker, was to do a double turn.
I need to be on Solomonster's show then. Wow. Because he gets it.
You just that's how you feel.
He gets it. Solomonster, get at your boy Doc Ocean.
We're about to book a WrestleMania match right now.
I think that'd be something interesting for you to do though, Mr. Rich, is to actually, try booking a show and, taking that and having the people, because we do this whole thing for you, the people, and see what they would say about it. As someone who is a wrestling purist such as yourself, see how you actually would book a show and get the reactions from the people. I think that'd be awesome to do.
I mean, my thing, and I don't mean no harm by saying that I want to be on Solomonster's show. He should call me or tweet me at TL Double.
Kennedy 6.
That's your boy. Yeah, I'm just saying. Holla at your boy. But my main thing is, you book Ty Dillinger. I don't know what Vince has, for Mojo Rawley. Maybe it's his size. Maybe that's their plan. You
just answered the question right there.
His size?
Mojo Rawley's not that big.
Yeah, he's not that big.
And the whole connection into football too. Vinnie Mac is a big fan of the Patriots, and oh my gosh,
maybe he's gonna be the number 1 draft pick in the XFL. Maybe that's what they're pushing.
That would actually make sort of sense.
They might as well. They already said that anybody who has a felony, is going to be in the league, and that's like half the roster. I feel like.
Sorry, Roman.
Right. Exactly. You're right, though. You're absolutely right. Sorry, Roman. Sorry.
Moving right along, let's jump into this Elimination Chamber pay-per-view this week. Let's go ahead and give our
eliminated. Everybody gets eliminated but Roman.
But
let's go through the matches and give our predictions.
Let's go through them then.
I wouldn't be mad at Roman winning, but let's go ahead and get this.
Winning? You're a Romanite.
Let's go ahead into these matches. So we got so far 5. Oh, I'm sorry, it is only 4 matches. I misspoke earlier.
Yeah. So is it a pre-show or kickoff match?
2 of them.
Oh, let's see. Hold on.
There's 2 kickoff matches. The first one is the Good Boys, or the Baldy Brothers, that you like to call them. Wow. Duke Gallows and Carl Anderson versus the Revival.
What a waste! That's trash. Trash.
Honestly, that should be on the main show, and that needs to be highlighted because that by itself should be a really good match. But they're going to make it into a complete poop fest.
I feel so bad for those guys.
Mm-hmm. So what were the pre-show matches? Hold on.
So that's the first pre-show match. The Good Brothers versus the Revival. The second one for the Raw Tag Team Championship, we have The Bar versus Titus Worldwide.
Yeah, so I know I saw that match, so I just went back to check, and it took that match off of my source. So I didn't know if they were going to keep that match or no, but I do remember seeing Titus Worldwide versus The Bar. I wouldn't spend much.
Definitely going to be pre-show.
That's terrible.
I wasn't going to spend much time on that one anyway. We know The Bar is going to win that match. There's not any way, shape, or form.
They might not. They might be ready to move on from them and bring them back to singles competition to join the abyss of other mid-carders.
Oh, gosh. Well, no, because Sheamus is going to be leaving soon because of the injuries that he has.
Oh, yeah, that's right, the whole spine thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So I
unless they're
mean,
gonna just slap him on there to feed him to the revival, I could. That's the only way that I could see
Well,
that type
slap
of.
it on. Actually,
it would
slap it
be
on there to feed him to AOP.
yeah, offensive pain. Yes, I was about to say.
I'm pretty sure that I feel like the authors of pain are going to end up going to SmackDown.
No, they're gonna
No,
no. They
Red
have to.
Brand.
They have to go to
What I
Raw.
just tell you?
There is no other tag teams on
Yeah.
Raw. It is so
What did I
weak
just
right now.
say, man? Raw, Republican. Come on.
But let's
But
actually go through the matches then.
let's go through them, man.
Absolutely. So first match, and this is a feud that I've not liked since it started. We're gonna get once again Woken Matt Hardy versus Bray Wyatt on this show. Honestly, they both lose, but
Well, they're gonna want Bray Wyatt to be rendered obsolete.
yeah. In my pick, though, I think in this match, I think that we see a Bray Wyatt win. I just
He
don't.
won it.
I,
I don't know. He won the last one. I think he's rendered obsolete on this one.
I think that Matt's eaten a lot of losses since this whole thing. I really think I don't know what's the deal with Jeff Hardy's injury. I don't know if he's like still going to be out for a while, but I think that they still want to do one last Hardy Boys run before it's over. So I don't know if they really want to invest a lot into pushing this whole Woken Matt gimmick. I'm calling Bray probably in a no longer than a 10-minute match for this.
I'm actually gonna disagree. I'm gonna call Matt. I think he's gonna win. They're gonna render Bray obsolete. I think Jeff is out for a little longer, and honestly, I think that based on that one match where they had a little bit of chemistry, they might even make them a tag team together.
It's gonna be Matt.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
here's why. Now they finally have control of all of the Broken Universe stuff. That they're gonna start incorporating all the other stuff. The issue with all that is it's too little, too late now.
Right.
Like people have now checked out of all that,
Big time.
so now it's only gonna hurt them.
Yes.
So
Plus
this will
they can
become
always
so this is basically a bathroom break match. This is the bathroom break match.
Yeah.
My bladder has just become woken.
So you guys both are picking Matt in this one.
Yep.
All right. Next match, Asuka, Nia Jax. Earlier tonight, I said I didn't see any way Nia Jax is winning this match. It does add more speculation to it just for the fact that they're making it such a big stipulation on it. But I feel like it's a ploy to make us think that Nia Jax is going to win this match, and I think it's going to be a loss. But then again, if it ends up being a WrestleMania match, WWE would probably definitely want Nia Jax to eat a loss to, quote unquote Ronda Rousey or someone like that, before they would feed her to Asuka. I know everybody's saying that it's going to be Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte, but I don't see them taking a big acquisition like Ronda Rousey and relegating her to SmackDown. I don't think that that's going to happen.
Now you're getting it.
But I definitely, in this instance, I'm still going to pick Asuka to win this one. But I think they'll give him about a good 10 to 15 minutes. I think they may give him a good 15-minute spot, because I don't think that both chamber matches are going to go an hour. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. But I'm definitely I'm thinking they're going to give a little time to this Asuka and Nia Jax feud.
So the stipulations are: if Nia wins, she gets entered into the chamber. If she doesn't get the belt in this situation,
No, she's in WrestleMania, so Nia's going directly to WrestleMania if she wins this match.
regardless of who's in, like who wins the chamber match.
Regardless of who wins the chamber match, regardless of who the champion is, if Nia beats Asuka, Nia is in the championship match at WrestleMania.
That's interesting.
Oh, it's Asuka. And here's why. It's going to be Asuka and Charlotte for the SmackDown Women's title.
I mean, I don't
Because
know, man. She's
Rousey,
not...
and doing it based off of multiple sources, all reliable sources, Ronda is going to be in that intergender tag team match. which is
Oh,
why they're pushing so much about the mixed match challenge. Think about it like that. They're really
I'm,
pushing this intergender tag team tournament to help culminate for the intergender tag team match that's going to happen at WrestleMania.
I
And
mean,
you'll finally have Nia versus Alexa Bliss.
but Naya's not like most girls. That's the only reason I'm thinking that she might actually pull it off.
No,
I trust me. I personally, Jay Rich would love to see that. I think it would infuriate the IWC, which would make me love that even more. But I don't see it on paper. It doesn't seem like I would be so excited because I would be, like, all right, where are they going to go with this? But on paper, it just doesn't seem like that's going to formulate into anything.
I'm gonna pick Nia Jax.
Okay. So we got two for Asuka, one for Nia. Moving right along, the women's chamber match. Is this the first ever women's chamber match, or has there been one before?
nope, first ever.
Can't remember. First ever. A lot of firsts for women's matches lately. Go for the women's division. I love a lot of what they're doing. A lot of people think it's gimmicky, but I love that they're getting so much shine. Getting the first Royal Rumble, first Money in the Bank. It's definitely a big come up for a lot of the women's division. Elimination Chamber for Raw women's title. Alexa Bliss defending the title in this match versus Bayley, Mandy Rose, Mickie James, Sasha Banks, and Sonya Deville. In this match, I am going to go with Sasha Banks in this one. I think that it's either going to be Sasha, which my money's on Sasha just because she's had the biggest matches out of the people in this match on pay-per-views. And I think that they just want to guarantee that they're going to have a huge match when it comes to the Raw women's match at WrestleMania. So I'm going to go with Sasha. If not Sasha, my second pick would be Bayley in this one. But I don't think Alexa walks out with the title.
I think Mickie James might win. She's gonna turn on Alexa Bliss because I saw they had a little friendship going on this past week, and I feel like maybe Alexa might feel like Mickey's on her side at the end. I think she walks away with the title. Or my second pick would be Deville.
I think she's not there yet to try to get the title. I mean, I think eventually I would love to see Sonya Deville get the strap, but not right now. So I have two people that I'm gonna go for. The first one I mentioned before is gonna be Alexa Bliss because that's gonna lead into the Alexa versus Nia match at WrestleMania. The second one, which would be even more interesting because it'll finally be the match that people have been wanting to have for like the past few years, is Bayley winning it, which causes a heel turn for Sasha, and that leads to Sasha versus Bayley at Mania.
Take NXT Takeover level match.
Why can't we do it the reverse?
Because Sasha's better as a heel.
Wow.
She's way better as a heel.
I mean, Bayley is like the female John Cena when it comes to the kids. You're not turning.
But
Bayley heel.
but what really got Sasha over was her heel boss gimmick. And it doesn't make sense to try to push Bayley as a heel when Sasha's so much better at doing it.
Yeah, Sasha's not a face at all. When I look at Sasha, I don't see face. Just like I don't like Charlotte being a face. Charlotte is not a face at all to me.
If you can have a crowd chant Sasha's Ratchet, you know that you have a great heel in your hands. I'm just saying.
He's just
Absolutely.
saying. But I'm gonna stick with my picks though. I just feel like it doesn't matter who wins today. Honestly, when you think about it, because oh god, I guess the IWC just started throwing stuff at me.
Revenge.
It doesn't matter who wins because obviously we've seen it where the next night somebody could just lose it right back. So it doesn't really matter who wins. That's the only reason I'm saying that I just believe Mickie James might just take it.
That's fine. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that anybody could really walk away with that, like you said. I mean, I don't think it's a big win for anybody who wins this Elimination Chamber match, unless it's Sonya. Nobody or Mandy Rose, which I don't want Mandy Rose to win anything in life.
Wow, not in life.
Wow, you really don't like Mandy Rose like that?
She's not. It's a lot that I don't really want to.
J. Rich, we really
expound
care
on.
about what you say next because the IWC is listening.
Mandy Rose, the IWC supports Mandy Rose.
I have no
certain
idea. I don't know who
certain
IWC
regions of it definitely support Mandy Rose.
You know what?
And just not to get political, but I mean, she's ruffled some feathers in the African American women community a few times, and she's got this fixation on African American women's hair, and I think that's what really makes me not like her as a person. I don't really care about her own work or anything like that, but yeah.
So she's definitely not like most girls.
Ha!
All right, moving right along. The main event. I think this is going to be a really good match. The Miz, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, John Cena, Finn Balor, Elias, Braun Strowman. This is a lot of people for an Elimination Chamber match. What's that, 7 that we have here? So we're going to start off with 3 in the ring now.
I want to say yes, but I still think they might just keep it with the 2. But they might just start off with 3.
I think this is going to be a great match. This is going to be the hardest one for me to pick. I really wouldn't be mad. I really wouldn't be mad at anybody winning this title just because I want somebody to take the title off Brock so bad that I don't care who it is. But I think that the winner of this match is probably going to end up being Finn Balor. Because it's a dark horse. There's been really literally no focus on Finn Balor since the start. This is the culmination of this. It's been a lot of programs with Elias, a lot of programs with Braun Strowman, a lot of programs saying John Cena doesn't know what he's going to do after this. Roman Reigns, we don't even have to talk about that. Seth Rollins doing the Iron Man match this week. The Miz with the baby, and then he's already the Intercontinental Champion. Finn Balor is probably the person who has the most to gain and has gotten the least bit of shine out of everybody leading up to this match. So that's my dark horse in winning this. I'm going with Finn.
Wow. Dark horse, huh? We're on dark horses now. Okay. I mean, honestly, to me, I want Seth to win, but I know that's not going to happen. I want Elias to win.
Way too early for Elias. I would not love it for it to happen. Way too
Why
early.
Is it too early? Why is it too early? What makes it too early? What constitutes too early?
I think it's because he only has one high profile win since he went to the main roster.
But then Finn Balor, they said the same thing about Finn Balor. They slapped the belt on him real quick when he came out of NXT.
He just came out of NXT. He was white hot in NXT.
Yeah, white hot.
But it wasn't early. It was hot.
And he did win probably the biggest high profile match going into it.
Wow.
He won a series of high profile matches.
You have to be white hot in order to be fast. To skip the speedometer. Wow. You got to be white hot.
He came in on his first match on Raw and beat Roman Reigns.
He came in on his first match and beat Roman. So he's white hot. And he gets to be the champ to skip the speedometer of being too fast. Is that the logic we're going with right now?
Wow.
I'm like I said, I wouldn't be mad at it. I was mad at the Finn Balor situation for like 2 seconds, but then I got over it.
I mean, My thing is, it's like you gotta be white hot to skip the speedometer, though. Wow. Um, I don't think it's too fast. I think it's perfect. He's got the right amount of heat. The fans listen to him, similar to how they listen to Bray Wyatt, all the butterflies and Wyatt flies or whatever flies that he has. The fans listen to him. They're behind him. You know, although initially his guitar gimmick, obviously a la Jeff Jarrett, it was just like, okay, we've seen this before. Exactly. Eventually, you knew he was going to go choke on this. It just took a long time to get there. That's why it's ironic that Jeff's going into the Hall of Fame, but that's a whole other story. But I feel like Elias would be the best person to win it until he gets
definitely has the most.
Until he gets to Brock Lesnar, of course.
He definitely has the most to gain. But it's just when you got those guys that come in and win the title early. I mean, think about what happened to Finn Balor. He got hurt, and then he's been relegated to not really doing much since then. Sheamus beat John Cena for the title, and he got relegated to not really doing much for a long time. It's just one of those things where just like you just said about Jinder, I mean, his career might be over. If Elias wins the title as soon as he loses it, and if he gets relegated to anything but the main event, you said it yourself, you think it might be over. Do you want that for Elias right now?
You talk about wrestling as if it's not booked this way.
But, I mean, we're discussing booking, though, right?
That's the problem. That's the problem with wrestling is the way it's being booked. Hence my overrated comment about Asuka. Their booking is terrible. If it's me, Roman's had his chance. You know that Braun got to walk through everybody. He's going to beat everybody up. He's got to be – they have to make him the last person. And I guarantee you, even if he's not the last person, I doubt he stays in his cage the whole time. He's going to bust out of there to make this big attraction, and it's going to throw the whole match off.
I agree. And then he's probably going to get like 4 finishers and get put out.
If Finn Balor dares coup de grace Braun Strowman, I think Braun is going to no-sell. He's going to throw him up in the air when he goes to pin him, kick, jump up, catch him on his shoulder, and then do a power slam. All in one swoop motion.
I won't lie. If he did that, he deserves to win.
I'm just saying. It's going to be ridiculous.
Like you can't do something like that, which is completely unheard of.
Hey,
and not win.
If it's not Seth Rollins, it's Braun Strowman.
But it's funny that you mentioned booking. So here's what I think. I have 2 people that's gonna win it. One is obvious, and the other one's my dark horse. Let's start with the obvious. Roman, because we all know that's what the plan is for the main event: Roman versus Brock. My dark horse, and here's why this is my dark horse, and you heard me allude to this earlier in this show. Seth Rollins winning this to headline WrestleMania. That could possibly lead to a possible rematch on a different WrestleMania main event when Seth had completed the biggest heist in WrestleMania history. Except this time it'll actually turn into a triple threat. It'll be some stupid thing that'll allow Roman to get involved in the match. That way, Brock could lose the title without actually being pinned. I know you don't like it, but...
And I guess that's where my prediction of Braun busting out of the cage early could come in.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I don't know if both of you know this, but they're going to set up the program for WrestleMania for The Miz versus Braun Strowman for the IC title, which I think would be great. I think Braun having the IC title for a while would help elevate him even further. Instead of just throwing, the main title his way, give him a chance to just build up more, get more polish in the ring with, the workman's title of WWE. I think that can be highly beneficial for him.
Well, that definitely means the Miz Taraj cost him this match then.
Exactly. See, now we're thinking like real bookers. And I don't mean...
Think about stupid bookers. We got a
certain
stupid
5-time WCW champion who's trying to go after Corey Graves.
Which was a
work that he worked
yeah.
the entire universe.
That's what they're saying. It was a work.
I know.
Unless it wasn't a work. Unless their work was. They're them saying they worked.
I honestly think that Vinnie Mac or someone, with power in WWE had Booker say that. Because Corey was getting into him. Like, the only thing that Corey didn't say that probably would have triggered him is saying, embrace the struggle.
True.
And that's more of an in-joke for those out there. But I think those are the two scenarios for it. That way, Braun and Miz can have their program. John Cena's there just to be there. Finn Balor is there to, help Seth work everyone through this match. And Elias, it's there to give him that exposure. Eventually, it's going to be, him going after the IC title, which I think would be perfect for him as well, too. But it gives them that, main event exposure that he desperately needs. Like, he's no longer being treated as a joke. And the fact that he has the fans, behind him, even though he's supposed to be a heel, he's getting those cheers like he's a face. And, now he's saying the WWE Walk with Elias thing too. They're going to run with this. So this is a great platform for him to start, showing, okay, I'm here, I'm ready,
Definitely.
Versus what happened with Rusev when he started to get really white hot.
I can agree. Any of these scenarios I would be perfectly satisfied with in order for Operation get that Universal title off of Brock Lesnar by any means necessary. But, it's a huge push.
I just wanted to be known in the IWC and everyone in Game Runners that I have not been supportive of part-time champions since The Rock did it. Mm-hmm. So I've been very vocal about this for a very long time.
Absolutely. But, we also know that because of the booking, anytime that somebody gets a super, push like Brock Lesnar has gotten, it lines up to be an even bigger push, maybe intentionally or even unintentionally, to the person who finally removes the title from that person. So, whether it is Seth Rollins who wins this title, this elevates Seth Rollins back to the top guy,
But Seth won the title from Brock before, though. He didn't pin Brock, but he won it off of Brock before.
Yeah, but this would be more of a if they make him clean. I doubt he will win in a clean manner. I don't know how they would book it for him to beat Brock.
Well, that's why I mentioned the triple threat. It's gonna turn into a triple threat. Like, actually, someone else is gonna get pinned, not him.
Not technically. It might be 1-on-1. The story that I heard is that Bobby Lashley comes back and causes Brock to lose. And they're starting a feud with Brock and Bobby Lashley. Not for the title, but enough to get the title off of Brock, but give him something to do.
And then we get an MMA match with Brock and Bobby Lashley at SummerSlam?
If that's what they call it, I don't know. But that's what I heard, that Bobby Lashley is supposed to be coming back, and he had his sights on Brock Lesnar. Mm. So we'll get that rematch from whatever amount of years ago.
Honestly, I would rather see Moose come to WWE than Bobby Lashley, but that's neither here nor there as well.
Think about it like this. They've already brought Goldberg back to have their fight rematch over, so they'll probably do the same thing with Lashley. It'll just not be for the title.
I got nothing on that. I'm sorry. I got nothing to say there.
I mean, that's just what I read. I mean, it's not what I want, but I mean, that's what I read.
Or Roman Reigns wins the Elimination Chamber, and then he goes and becomes the first person to beat Brock clean. And then he
Since
goes on
Goldberg.
to beat
Since Goldberg,
since
right?
Goldberg. Then he goes on to
See, that just
beat
ruins the
Seth
whole
Rollins.
argument. That ruins the whole argument.
He beats Seth Rollins, and then he beats Elias, and then he beats.
You're
You know,
such
whoever.
a Romanite. Oh, I can just see you just rubbing your little wrist.
And then the people would just be stewing in so much anger, and I think that's what would make me enjoy it that much more. Is that it would just piss people off. It's like I'm just spiteful. I'm not a huge Roman fan. I just like to piss people off a lot.
Roman sucks.
Oh, that would be so spiteful. I would enjoy every bit of that just as much as if my former guest Wayne got to see Baron Corbin win the title. I would never hear the end of it.
Baron deserves a shot at something. I thought he was a good U.S. title holder.
No.
I like Bobby Roode, but I think Bobby Roode, they're just buying time before he gets up to that top level. But again, you got Shinsuke now getting his push, which he deserved a long time ago. You still have Kevin Owens, who got buried with the stupid feud that we were talking about earlier. I mean, you got so many people. Lord knows, if Sami Zayn became champion, I probably would just start watching wrestling altogether.
I'm scared that Kevin Owens, whenever his contract is up, that he's not going to renew because they've done him so wrong.
He's so much better than this.
Yeah, he's way better than what they're doing with him right now, and I'm scared that he leaves, WWE when his contract is up, and he goes and becomes like the new Kenny Omega in Japan or something.
He goes back to Steen. I know the Professor John Gotti always talks about Steen. He goes back to being Kevin Steen, where he's doing all his favorite moves. They're brain busting. They're doing all kinds. I don't know. I just said brain busting. They're doing all kinds of moves. I see you making faces over there. Don't judge me.
I'm trying to find out. You talking about Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn?
I was gonna say that's more of a Sami Zayn move. That's the brain buster,
I've seen Kevin Owens do a brain buster before,
but not on the top turnbuckle.
Hey, I didn't say anything about a top turnbuckle. You guys just said top turnbuckle.
No, I was
never
just
said
trying to figure
top
out who he
turnbuckle.
was talking about. I didn't say anything about that. I was just trying to figure out who was he talking about.
Kevin Owens does brain busters.
Not so often.
He
Not
does
as
them.
often as Sammy. Not as often as Sammy.
Listen, you guys are always trying to steal my shine. I ain't come back to this show. Where's Silent Monster when you need him? Silent Monster, call your boy.
But I agree. I mean, you as everyone knows that I am a huge buff when it comes to wrestling moves, and Kevin Owens doing the pop-up powerbomb, as popular as it is with many people, I think it's probably one of the weakest finishers out there.
It was good when he first started. Obviously, he did it on John Cena. White hot. I guess he should have been champion too, because he is white hot after he beat John Cena.
Technically speaking, that feud was when John Cena was the U.S. champion, so that would have been perfect.
It was perfect. It was perfect. There's no
He was
question about it.
definitely elevated. Cena was definitely elevating that division at that time.
Absolutely, and they should have kept him down there, but no. Why not?
He's about John Cena with the U.S. title.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They should have kept him down there. They should have kept Big Match Johnny down there. But they just can't. They just can't. He should have beat Roman. There's no question about it. You tried it all. You tried every last person that you could feed Roman, and nobody has worked. Triple H. I mean, the only person they could put in front of him probably is The Rock, and nobody would believe that. It's the people's champion.
No one wants to see that.
Right. Like, him beating The Undertaker was just like, I just felt like we should have called, animal control and the police for abuse. Putting an old dog down like that was just euthanization out there. It was terrible. Euthanization.
Probably one of the worst WrestleMania main events in the history.
In history, yes. If you smell what
it
the
was
Rock
really, really bad.
It was terrible. He couldn't even move out there. That's why I'm glad to see him squatting, even though whenever you guys post those workout videos, you can never see the person's face, which I really hate. So I don't really know if that's the Undertaker or not, or just a guy dressed as the old American badass. Sorry.
So let's jump into our final thought here. Before you ruffle any other feathers, you're talking about old man Taker now. You're gonna mess around, and you're gonna have people commenting on posts wanting to at every one of us, and I'm not involved.
You are involved. This is your show. This is
your show.
Yeah, like, you invited me here.
You definitely invited both of us on this one.
But you'll tell you something though. If anybody has a problem with what the doc has to say, they had ample opportunity to join this show, to be on this show live right now with Jay Rich, with Jay Ritty, your boy.
Yeah, boy.
Right here. They could have been here. They could have been defending. I wouldn't have been here if they would have been here. But they would have been here. They could have stopped me from trying to get on Silent Monster's show. They would have stopped me from telling them the truth that Asuka is being booked to be overrated. They could have stopped me from doing this rant right now, telling them that their favorite wrestlers stink.
Definitely could have stopped the professor from saying that I'd rather not have Shawn Michaels.
Right.
I mean, and I've been known to say some pretty messed up stuff when it comes to booking decisions.
That's factual. This is fact. Sure. Mr. Perfect deserved it. And I didn't even like Mr. Perfect as a kid.
I love
but
Mr.
he
Perfect
deserved
as a kid.
it. I was a late bloomer. So, I mean, the boyhood dream was real.
I mean, it was Mr. Perfect, British Bulldog, Owen Hart, Jake Roberts. I mean, I was still pissed off when Hulk Hogan, vetoed the whole Jake Roberts push, because Jake Roberts was being pushed as a face, and if him and Hogan had that program, Hogan would have been a heel. Just a fun fact for everyone.
Then he had to insert himself into the Yokozuna versus Brett thing. Hogan inserted himself into a lot of things.
Yeah, let's just forget about WrestleMania 9 altogether, please.
Let's just move on. We can move on.
Including inserting himself into Bubba the Love Sponge's wife. But let's go ahead into the final thought tonight.
Wow. Wait, we didn't finish the matches, did we? Was that it?
That was it. It was only 4 matches.
Who did?
Nope. Nope. Mm-mm.
Sorry.
Nope.
Sorry.
Nope. Mm-mm. No. Mm-mm. For those that are currently eating, I apologize on behalf of the Base Among Friends for Jay Ritty's comment about Bubba Love Sponge and Hulk Hogan.
Somewhere.
And Hulk
Helen's
Hogan.
got to have a jar.
Hulk Hogan going wild in someone else's wife.
Wow.
What you
I'll
gonna
put a couple
do,
in the jar for that one.
What you gonna do, brother? Sit there and take it to the face.
Is a 24-inch python joke too much?
Oh my gosh, please don't, because now you're gonna make me remember his time testifying, and he's saying, well, that's Hulk Hogan. He's a character I play.
Oh.
So of course I'm gonna say I got a big
Oh my goodness.
But in reality it's the size of my nail on the pinky.
Live and running wild, brother. What you gonna do, brother? What you gonna do, brother?
Point and laugh.
Runs wild on you.
Point and laugh. As girls go, it's so cute. Okay, let's stop this one. See, you get me started on this, like.
Wow.
There's nothing better than a good Hulk joke. All right, final
Helen
thought.
is making a fortune tonight.
Oh,
Helen is making a fortune.
Helen probably has about $50 right now between the three of us.
I don't feel like I said anything wrong.
Helen, she just came out the office right now. Helen, I think we need to start a new jar for every single time the doc lies live.
Wow. What did I say wrong? You tell me. What did I say wrong?
So-
fill up any faster.
Jay Rich, you mentioned final thoughts. I guess the doc should get started with his final thoughts then.
I don't feel like I said anything wrong, but whatever. Final thoughts, of course. New show coming out. Debate Among Friends presents Top 5 Dead or Alive. And yes, that
It's just
is off one LP. We're going to talk about random topics, try to get a little away from sports a little bit, but if we dabble into sports, that'll be fantastic as well. Just to give the people just a different perspective. I know a lot of people claim they're not sport fans, and that's the only reason they don't listen. So we want your feedback. We want your topics. We want to know what you think. If you want us to tell you the top 5 light beers, well, dang it, we're going to go out there and drink light beers until we figure out what the top 5 is. But definitely that's something that I wanted to present. Interesting development I saw earlier. I'm sure, or maybe the Duke might be interested in something like this. Interesting video I watched with, I believe, Senator Rubio. I always get those confused. Governor, senator, politician. That doesn't make any sense. Rubio. Video I saw where this kid asked him, so, Sen. Rubio, being that you are not in favor of the NRA in front of all these people, will you deny their donations? And everybody starts clapping and whatnot. And he says, well, people buy into my vision. Well,
So he
that's
never
not,
answered the
that's
question.
not what I asked you. I asked you, will you deny their money? I think everybody in this room, everybody in the crowd here, we can all pile up some money and we can match what the NRA has donated. But will you deny their money? The 17 people who got killed by the guns that are offered and issued by the NRA, and they're donating you money from the proceeds from that particular gun. Will you deny the money and the funds from the NRA? They buy into my vision. That's what he repeated 3 times. He's like, it's not about the money. It's about the vision. And I thought it was so crazy. And I hope that the Duke gets a chance to watch that video. I'm going to have to send it to him. And he talks about it on Duke It Out, because I thought it was probably one of the funniest things and saddest thing I have seen pretty much all week. I'm just buying into the vision. Go Duke.
Alright.
Go Duke.
Oh my goodness. Well, my final
you got?
thoughts. First of all, big shout out to Seth Rollins for making history and on Raw with the Gauntlet match for surviving for 65 minutes. The meme that I placed out on the Game Runners. Make sure you follow Game Runners, the group as well too. If you're on Facebook and you want to join a good wrestling group, definitely give Game Runners a try. But the meme was talking about Seth Rollins' time in comparison to Brock Lesnar in his states. Rollins' time in this match on Raw was 65 minutes. Brock's combined time in every match since Mania 33, 62 minutes and 35 seconds. So, take the impact of that and run with it. The second thing I want to talk about is something I actually just posted. The 434 put this up. It's talking about the Eater of Pins, the Eater of Worlds, the guy who laughs with the Woken One, Bray Wyatt. This is what it says. Bray Wyatt's ex-wife is accusing Bray of spending his child support money on non-necessary items, including strip clubs and money on JoJo. Wow. She is also accusing him of only giving her $6,000 a month in child support for their kids instead of the $14,765 a month he previously agreed to.
My question is, does Bray Wyatt make that much?
Oh yeah,
Yes,
definitely.
but
Bray Wyatt makes enough to pay $15,000 per month in child support.
yeah.
I never liked child support in the way it works, but
Yeah,
I mean, parents definitely
we're not going
deserve
to
it.
talk about on that part of the spectrum, but it's just the fact that she's being so open about all this information is kind of
Well, isn't that the only way to get the money?
apparently so.
Just like the only way to get followers is to troll.
Also true. I see what you did there.
I mean, that's the only way for her to get the money is to, shame him into, not only is he a cheater, and he doesn't care about the kids. All for that trash bag scallywag JoJo with the fake butt. That's his wife, not me.
Yeah, because JoJo, Lord mercy. But that's besides the point.
That's John Gotti. That's definitely not me.
Oh no, that's definitely John Gotti at Ken86 on Twitter. I mean,
hey, that's definitely not me. Anybody in particular that might be listening, that the doc did not check out those buns.
Helen. So that's 10,000 a jar right now.
Well, first and foremost, I guess did we already do an Eater of JoJo instead of the Eater Rules now?
God, wow.
Okay, now that was Jay Rich right there. Oh my gosh.
I didn't know if we did that one tonight. I don't know if we skipped over that one. I thought it was a prime opportunity. I'll go ahead and add a few to the draw on that one. You can't.
Yeah.
That man has a family.
Had.
No. He still has a family. He just doesn't have a wife.
He just doesn't pay child support, so he doesn't have a family.
Right. But final thought for me, once again, we're going to double up on home. If you don't already follow the Game Runners, definitely join the Game Runners, follow the Game Runners. I'll be making posts about the chamber for the 4 matches. I'll be loading up the polls after tonight's show to give everybody a few days to, pick their vote, switch it up, change everything they want to before the pay-per-view comes, get a good idea of what they want to do. I'll put those out there. They seem to always get a good response every month for the pay-per-view, so we're not going to stop now. Final thought. I think we hit a little bit on it earlier when talking about Elias. I just want to kind of drive home the fact that it's really, I thought never in a million years that I would see Double J Jeff Jarrett being inducted into the Hall of Fame. In a Hall of Fame class that came up with some names that were kind of with Goldberg. We knew Goldberg was going to headline it, and then we got the Dudley Boys, and we got Ivory. But this Jeff Jarrett being inducted is just such a surprise to me, just because of what bad blood, what bad history that was going on with Vince. Not to say that Jeff Jarrett doesn't deserve it. I think that he's definitely a pioneer of professional wrestling, especially in this generation. He gave a platform to a lot of the guys that are major guys, not only in the WWE, but in other companies right now with TNA, which once looked like a promising rival to WWE. He's done a lot he was a multi-time world champion with WCW. The character, even though it wasn't a world champion in WWE, he was, a 6-time Intercontinental champion? I don't know if what the fact check is on that or not, but I believe he's a 6-time Intercontinental champion. I'm very happy to see this, and I'm definitely glad. I want to give a lot of credit to Triple H. I don't know if he's to do with mending a lot of these relationships or not, but I'm just glad to see that, cooler heads prevail and we get to see Jeff Jarrett inducted into the Hall of Fame. And that, my friends, is my final thought. It was a good show tonight. We definitely broke 2 hours on this one. So we had a lot to say, and we're going to continue to have a lot to say going forward. I can't wait to do the next show, whether it's with you guys, whether it's whoever, whether it's solo dolo. Thank you guys for listening. Once again, this has been Marking Out Amongst Friends. Jay Rich out.